Hello and welcome to the Merle Unlock podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Luck.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful help and pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Welcome to Chili's.
Oh, sorry, I had to.
Okay, so Locke here was catching me up on some memes here and there.
Yep, just getting him cultured.
So today's topic, I wanted to talk about mods, right? Which is surprising. We're already almost 80 episodes in, and we haven't once talked about mods.
When you had first brought it up, I thought we had talked about mods, or at least maybe touched on it a little bit.
I feel like we probably touched on it, yes. But I don't know if we've ever dedicated an episode to talking about mods and how often, well, this new love we found for mods, I suppose. I never really delved into mods. Really, I like the quality of life stuff here and there. You know, adding it to a game like I don't know, like Skyrim or World of Warcraft. When we started playing more and more like games on Steam, for example, like party games that we play with all of our friends, we really started to get into it, right? I mean, I just wanted to express my appreciation for people that, you know, make mods for games. The first thing that comes to mind, right? Well, let's go back a little bit, actually. So, how much experience do you have with Skyrim?
I mean, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been years, really. I mean, other than Elder Scrolls Online that we play, but Skyrim, the last time that I can say that I played it was when I got the VR for the PlayStation, and I realized how terrible it is in VR.
I made a return to Skyrim. It was a number of years ago by now, but I wanted to try out these mods that like people were posting on YouTube and what have you, like all these different mods, you know, like turning dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine and stuff like that. Like all these like really crazy things are really silly, don't exactly add anything to the game experience except for, you know, giving you a good laugh. And just from that exposure to those kinds of mods playing Skyrim, it gave me like a deeper appreciation for just like the silliness of it all. And if we're to go to a game that we've put a lot of time into over, you know, the last year, is Lethal Company. The amount of mods that we use for that game.
So many.
Oh, they're so good too. Like we do have like some quality of life stuff that makes the experience more fulfilling. But there's also mods that just like trip you up. We have this one mod. It gets me all the time, and I love the mod. It's called Skinwalkers or something like that.
The one where it like mimics your voice.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll record little snippets of your voice as you're doing the level, and then the different monsters will mimic your voice, that snippet of your voice, to other players that are in the area. Oh, it's so trippy, and I love it. Like I'll be like in a dark corridor, like exploring by myself, trying to snatch loot up here and there, and then all of a sudden I'll hear somebody's voice. I'll be like, "Hello," like whoever it was, whoever's voice it was, and they won't say anything back, and I'm like, "Hello." Then I hear like this tap 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 tap, like there's like a spider or something or whatever it is, yeah. And I'm like, oh my god, and I just like start booking it and running, and like even when like the times I love, like we play in a big group, right? We use a small mod called Bigger Lobby, where you can have like up to like 20 people, right? And I'll know like a lot of people have died, right? So there's a lot of people that are spectating, and I'll know that a lot of these people are already dead. But I'll be continuing through the level, trying to get some last minute loot here and there to get it out to the ship, you know, trying to make quota and what have you. And then I'll start hearing their voices of these people that I know have already died in the game. I'll be like, "You're not the real whoever," and I'll start running away. I'll be like, "I don't believe you," and just like creating this whole scene and whatnot. And I know people are spectating me and seeing me go through all this nonsense and running away from all these creatures that are talking like them. And it's hilarious too, because like there is inconsistencies where like some people will hear the voice or one person's voice, some people will hear another person's voice happening at the same time. So it like sometimes it's like not exactly aligned. So a lot of the times people will be like, "What are they talking about?" You know, like I don't hear anything, or like that's not what I heard. And it's funny because like everybody thinks everybody's going crazy,
Right.
and it's just a hilarious mod.
I love the Skinwalkers for you being able to hear someone's final moments. The moments before they die where they're just like, "No!" And then it just cuts off. Or whatever funny thing that person might say just moments before their death. And you're like,
Yep.
"Oh, that's just great. That's hilarious." And we're just laughing in the ship to whatever it was that person said.
Yeah, it's very trippy, and I absolutely love it. There's this other mod that we just started using. Like we've been turning it off and on every now and again because sometimes we're like, "Oh, this mod's kind of stupid." Sometimes we're like, it's kind of great. It's a mimic mod where there's emergency exit doors right throughout the level where like you can get out in another entrance to the facility that's not the main entrance. And sometimes it'll be a fake door. And if you try to use the door, it's a monster and it'll come out and it'll like scoop you up and eat you. And you'll die instantly. My first experience with it, after we turned it on, a buddy and me, we were in the facility and we saw one of these emergency exits and we're like, not sure if that's a real exit or not. Let's give it a test. And, it was my first experience. My buddy, he already experienced it before. So he was like, yeah, you go ahead. So he kind of like stood behind me and I dropped all my loot and I went over to the door and I clicked on it. And the monster came out, burst out of the door, and I kind of moved to the side, and it snatched up my buddy that was standing behind me, and it took him in instead of me.
Oh, Jesus.
So he was pretty sour about it, but I was just dying. I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh, it did get me. And I turned around, and there's no one there, and I'm like, hello? I didn't even realize it snatched him up.
The problem is you didn't look back at the door because usually there's that big splatter of blood. So what I'm imagining is you have blood all over you. There's blood all over the door. You turn around, there's nobody there. You're like, hello? Where'd he go?
Hello? Oh, man, but it's such good fun. And I love using mods for Lethal Company. Lethal Company, it's already an amazing game. The guy that created it, big props to him. Like, I can't believe what he's been able to accomplish with that game. And just, like, allowing the community just to add, all these mods and stuff to the game to make it more interesting and keep people coming back to it constantly. It's been absolutely incredible. And I can't get enough of it. Now, as far as mods go, like what are all your experiences with mods and your love for them? What different games have you used them on?
See, I've used mods especially for things like World of Warcraft, which I've played so much of. I came across these things that were just helpful ways of leading you across where you need to be, maybe finding these rare spawns, because there's a lot of achievements that'll be like, you need to find these rare mobs and go kill them, and I'm like, I don't know where all they're at. So there's mods or add-ons that'll help and tell you, hey, this person could possibly be in all these areas, so you kind of know where to fly around and check to see what's all there. You and I have used the TomTom add-on for the longest time for that, where you'll give me coordinates, I type it in, and we fly off to said location and just kind of wait for a mob to show up.
far as those quality of life mods go for World of Warcraft, like, man, I need to download them, but laziness gets the better of me most of the time. Where like I'm looking up different stuff for different achievements, right? And I'm like, oh, where do I gotta go? Like, where does this guy spawn? Or like, where do I find this particular thing? And people are like, oh, here's the coordinates. Just type it in to TomTom or something. I'm like, I don't have that. I don't feel like getting it. So I'm like scouring the internet trying to find these points of interest on an actual overall map so I can get the general area and find it there. It's always like the most difficult way of doing it because everybody has just opted to get these add-ons and what have you, which I seriously need to do because like if you put together all the time I've put into finding things in an alternative way, I could have easily looked into and downloaded these add-ons, and saved so much more time. But most of the time, I'll just put an achievement on the back burner, and every time we're both on at the same time, I'm like, hey, we should do this. This thing that I didn't feel like doing myself, but now you have the add-ons, and you can take us to all the spots. So, right. so often I just opt to do that.
I've also used an add-on for Hearthstone, which I tried to introduce you to, but you weren't as interested in it.
Yeah.
Especially after you and I played against each other, you were like, I'm never playing again.
Well, like we started playing, right? And I was like, I feel like I'm starting to wrap my head around this. I feel like I'm doing all right. I feel like I could, be a decent challenge. And then you just absolutely obliterated me within like the first few turns. And I was like, well, I'm done.
Locks a dick. I just ruined the experience for you.
Yeah, I was like that sucks.
There's this mod for it, or at least this thing that you can download that helps kind of save like your stats on decks, like what's your win-loss ratio for it. Also will tell you the person you're facing, your opponent, it tells you what all cards they've played and how many cards of those they've played. So you can kind of, because you can only have like 2 of each card. So you can be like, okay, this person had this card, they ended up playing another card of that. That means they're out. They have no more of those cards unless they use something to get another card of that. You know what I mean? So I used that for a while because I kind of found it interesting. It also lets me know what all cards I have yet to draw that's in my deck.
Yeah, so basically you're a cheater is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm a big old good-for-nothing cheater.
Man, yeah, like just recently, my brother tried to get me into that Magic the Gathering PC game. It's just the card game, but it's on PC now. And I was like, nope, I'm good. I don't play these games. I've never been very good at them. I'm not interested enough to develop that skill. I'll pass.
It's true. Speaking of your brother, he's been pretty into mods lately, especially with Ark. He's used mods for Ark.
Yes, absolutely. He always likes to make his own server because he has an extra computer in which he makes a server on for these different games, especially Ark, and then he like mods the crap out of it, gets all these mods going on it that are, it's pretty great because like I love Ark. Ark's great. It's just like one of those things I put hundreds of hours into, and then I started to lose interest. But once you start adding mods into the mix and mixing it up a little bit and changing up the basic gameplay that you've become accustomed to, it's almost a whole new game. Gives you another deeper appreciation for modders and whatnot, and the amount of mods that are out there that kind of changes up the gameplay enough to keep it interesting, and you want to discover more and how to utilize these different mods or to combat these different mods, whatever the mods have. As far as mods go, I can't recommend it enough, especially for PC players, to like just give it a go, look into it, and especially on games that you remember having such a good time on by yourself or with your friends. And then over time, naturally, you start to lose interest in it and kind of moving on to other things. But if you look into it and see that these games have like, a whole mess of mods that you can utilize, download and utilize, like it's like a little nostalgia trip, as it were, but it changes up the gameplay and makes it interesting and intriguing. You get many more hours out of that game that you used to enjoy so much. And that's probably my favorite thing about it. Now, I know most of them are just like quality of life stuff that probably don't change up the gameplay necessarily that much, but most games that highlight mods, I feel like they have some pretty interesting ones. Like we were just talking about earlier, how Helldivers 2, right? Like I got a lot of hours out of that game. I enjoy it a lot, and I would love to play it more and more on social media. I know I've been sending stuff to you to check out too, where they already have a mess of mods, and the Star Wars mod, especially the one that I made sure to send to you, where you can make your Helldivers look like clone troopers, and then you can land on these planets and combat droids and what have you. I think that's amazing, and it looks so good. It makes me really excited to give it a go. So if ever you got $40-$50 burning a hole in your pocket, download that Helldivers.
We'll see, or if our patrons will be gracious.
We're gonna start a GoFundMe page for Locke to buy more games. That's what we gotta do.
But this isn't just for entertainment for us. No, it's like we want to do this for people to watch as well. Like, because I think it'd be fun, especially first time reaction, because I haven't played Helldivers yet. I know you have, but I haven't. So whatever happens, whatever bullshittery happens, I'll probably die.
No, that's pretty much a given that you'll die in that game. Yeah, it gets pretty hectic, but God, it's so much fun. It's such a good time. And if I want to see how many people I can get on board, especially like Star Wars lovers and what have you, to get on board and play it with us. I think that'd be awesome. I would love that.
You got my vote.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/merleandlocke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.